Autos 060 con Javier Mota.
Well, bienvenidos. Welcome 2014, a new year, a new show, and we have a great pleasure. This is going to be a very, very special show to start 2013. We're going to be talking the whole hour with Dr. Tracey Wilen. She's a thought leader of impact of technology on society, work, careers, and she's been a scholar at Stanford University and has held high-level positions at Apple, Hewlett-Packard, Cisco, and the Apollo Group, among other things. How are you, Dr. Wilen?
Very good. Happy New Year, Javier.
Thank you very much again for your time. And so you have written, I believe, 11 books, and including the last one, which that's what caught my attention to doing these special shows. And it's how to get a job basically for the next 50 years, right? Like how to be employed in the 21st century.
That's right. The book is coming out this month, which is January. It's called Employed for Life, 21st Century Career Trends. And it's really a look from the perspective of job seekers, job hunters, recruiting managers, hiring managers, and HR executives on what it takes today in the modern world to stay employed for life.
Yeah, and this book is about everything. I mean, it's not just about cars. Our show is about cars, but I think everything in the world pretty much goes around cars, right? You have to go to work in a car most of the time in most cities. Most people drive to work. So that's what caught my attention, and I think there are like so many topics that we can talk about this, about your book, about your expertise related to cars. For example, high-tech automatic factories, robot managers. I mean, technology is pretty amazing today in every field of the world industry, but in cars especially, I mean, people I think take for granted when they open that door and they press a button and that works. I mean, they think that's so easy to do, but there's a lot of work behind that, right?
Oh, absolutely, and I think you're bringing up a very good point about cars and employment, because every industry is touched in some way through global competition, technology, and the jobs are changing. And the auto industry is one that has really changed. And you're bringing up a very good point about automated factories. I mean, today, if you look at some of those mega factory videos, which I love, even the simple car like a Mini Cooper is almost 90% automated. So there's robotics, there's assembly lines, and it's all mechanical operators now. In fact, I was just looking at that video, seeing the only person was someone who was doing inspection, final detail on painting. So that industry has really shifted, and I think it's important for people to understand how technology is a part of it.
Yeah, but as much as the robots are taking over the factories, I guess, and there's less people in factories and more robots, I mean, there's people who are behind the scenes, I guess, and there were people developing those programs, the software, and actual robots. So, I mean, that's something that people should start looking at, and that's one of the things that I like talking about in this show, not just about the car, horsepower, MPG, and all those things, which are like cool, but I mean, try to help the audience and look at things and where can they take advantage of this whole industry?
Oh, absolutely. I think the auto industry is in disruption in a positive way. If you think about it, like you said, people expect to get in their car and push a button and it starts. Well, that takes a skilled person, somebody who understands the car and someone who also understands the technology behind the car. And ideally, they can simplify it so people like me can open up a car door, push a button, and start it. But I think you bring up a very interesting point about pushing a button. You know, years ago, it was a key. And just today, through electronic and technology advancements, we push buttons now to do everything in our cars.
Yeah. And for you, I mean, like, besides your expertise and author of books and all the things that you do, what's your experience in cars? I mean, this is kind of off topic from the book itself, but it's interesting to see how you experience that. What do you expect in a car nowadays?
Well, you know what, Javier, that is a good question, because I was born into a classical world. You know, when I drove cars and learned how to drive a car, it had 4 wheels, gas, and you changed your own oil. And today, I actually am one of those people who needs to use the push button in the rental car to call call center because I don't understand the GPS or I don't understand some of the new electronics in a car. And I have been amazed at how quickly the electronics have changed. And because I travel a lot, I rent a lot of cars, and each car is extremely different now. It isn't very consistent. So I'm like the average consumer out there who needs a lot of help. And it happened very quickly.
Yeah, and speaking of that, is there, I guess, a new need in dealerships and car rental centers and all that for people who are like, I mean, it's difficult to be an expert in every single car. I mean, I also drive many different cars, almost one or two every week. And you're right, it's difficult to learn everything that is in there and take advantage of that and be safe and like do all that. So is there also a need for people who, I mean, that's a new career that didn't exist, right? Like how to teach people to use their cars, if that's the case.
Absolutely. I'll tell you a funny story. General Motors wrote an article about how they had to create a call center with people who understood cars and technology because so many people like me and the dealers would call in because the cars had gotten too technical. So there's a whole new opportunity for people who actually understand the car technology and technology and can really explain it in simple terms for people like me so that we can get up and driving, which is really what we want to do.
Yeah, and car manufacturers keep developing of these things, and technology is like chasing them like as higher speed as the cars, I guess. I mean, and therefore now we're in 2014, starting 2014, and they're planning for cars beyond 2020. So, I mean, who knows what's going to be there in 6-7 years. So, how can people, how do you see people getting into now, they're getting to college. What should they go to? What careers should they choose to be not ahead, but at least on pace with what race, technology and production day to day?
You know, I would encourage college students to look at the type of career that they're thinking about. So if they say, I love cars, and then I would explain to them to go out and try to visit car dealerships, service and manufacturing sites, or if you can't visit them, at least try to use your social media like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter to connect with people who work in the industry and ask them what kind of education and skills did you need to get hired and what do you recommend for me? I would also recommend that you go right to the website of the auto manufacturers and dealers and service centers because they now have videos and a lot more information for people looking for jobs to say, here's the programs, here's the college, here's the skills, here's the experience that you need to be able to do this function in the auto industry. I think people should be able to read, write, do math, but I think technology is a part of every job, and I would encourage students to look at taking 1 or 2 computer science courses so they understand the language of technology.
Yeah, and you mentioned something that it's really important and true. For example, recently I saw a job posting Ferrari. I mean, like for all the brands, Ferrari looking for people at all different kind of fields: design, engineering, marketing, human resources, and all that. So that, yeah, you're right. The social media is a great tool. It just like takes your time and dedication to start looking for what you want. So yeah, thank you for reminding us of that. And actually, there was another story from an engineer, industrial engineer from Mexico, who is now working for Chrysler in Detroit. And I thought she was transferred because now the auto industry is global and Chrysler has positions factories in Mexico. And I just thought that she had just been transferred. And I said, no, I went to the website and found the job, applied for it, and I got it. I mean, obviously she had a career and she was a graduate from a university in Mexico. But I mean, that's the way it works now, right? I mean, it's a global world in everything.
Absolutely. And who is, creates a lot of job opportunities. They say that networking really accounts for 75% of the job opportunities. But it's what's different today is you can network in person, but then you can also use social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook to actually meet people, and that will help you network to jobs that you're looking for.
Yeah. On the topics that you were so kind to send me before the show, you mentioned something that is called the gray collar worker. Can you explain into that, please?
Absolutely. The gray-collar worker is the combination of the blue-collar worker with the white-collar worker. And actually, most say that the auto industry has headed in this direction. And what it means is that you not only need the blue-collar skills and the white-collar skills, but you also need the technology overlay now. I mean, some of the popular jobs that are actually the top jobs that the auto industry is hiring for are all pretty much in engineering. Manufacturing engineering, quality engineering, production supervisors, maintenance technicians, product engineering, but also other skills such as buyers, welders, process people. So I think if people look at the industry, if just look at your car and you realize, wow, the car is a combination of the blue-collar skills where I need to know how to change my tire and change my oil, but it's also now very technical. I need to understand GPS and smart security systems, and it really requires a blue-collar worker.
Yeah. And some of the things, I mean, like, for example, you mentioned buyer. I mean, like, people don't realize, I mean, the seat of a car sometimes can have as many as 300 parts. And the car manufacturer, let's say Toyota, doesn't make all those 300 parts, so they depend on suppliers to provide them with that. So these people are the ones that have to find all around the world, basically, right? So it requires a lot of still people skills, but also aligned with the technology that is available, especially with the internet.
Absolutely. Just to that point, if you are a buyer or in procurement or in the supply chain part of the business, you really need to understand how to run large project teams, but also virtual teams. To your point, you will be dealing with buying parts from all over the world. And that takes a sophisticated, skilled person to understand not only the people part, but how can I keep in communication with this person, use some, web communication tools, as well as organize people from a distance. So it's much more skill today than in the past.
Excellent. So we're talking to Dr. Tracey Wilen, and in the second segment of this special show, we're going to talk about Tesla, different cars, and alternative energy cars, and all that. So don't go away. This is Auto 060. I am Javier Mota.